Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. Imagine this. You're in a foreign country, your heart is pounding, and someone asks you a simple question. You know the words, but they just won't come out. Your mind goes blank. That feeling of frustration, of being so close yet so far from connecting, that ends today. I've been there, frozen in a supermarket aisle trying to ask for a bag. I learned English not in a classroom, but by mastering the simple, powerful sentences that make up 90% of all daily conversations. This isn't about fancy grammar, it's about communication. And I'm going to take you on a journey through the magic of 1,500 simple sentences that will unlock your English for everyday life. Let me tell you a secret. The key to fluency isn't a gigantic vocabulary. It's knowing the right, simple phrases that act like master keys. Think of them as linguistic Swiss Army knives. With just one sentence, you can apologize, ask for help, order food, or make a friend. The book English for Everyday Life, 1,500 Simple Sentences, is your treasure map, and I'm your guide. We'll start with the absolute essentials, the sentences that build your confidence from the ground up. For instance, I'd like a coffee, please. This isn't just an order, it's a bridge. It shows politeness, clarity, and intention. Every sentence you learn is a tool you can use immediately. Here's a relevant tip that changed everything for me. Our brains are wired for patterns. When you learn a sentence like, "How much does this cost?" you're not just memorizing words. You're learning a structure. You can swap out this for that cost for way, and suddenly you have a new, functional tool. How much does that weigh? This is the power of sentence-based learning. You're building a framework, not just collecting loose bricks. And the best part, you start thinking in sentences, not in your native language. That's when real fluency begins. Today, we'll dive into the first category, greetings and basics. These are your survival tools. Hello, how are you? My name is, thank you so much. They seem simple, but their power is immense. Pronouncing them clearly and with a smile opens more doors than any complex grammar rule. I remember using nice to meet you for the first time without stumbling. The other person's face lit up, and the conversation flowed naturally from there. That moment of connection is what we're after. So let's begin. Repeat after me. Hello, it's great to be here. Feel that? You've already started. The moment I truly believed in this method was in a Tokyo subway station, a maze of color-coded lines and fast-moving crowds. I had the address written down, but no idea which train to take. My textbook grammar was useless. Then I remembered one simple sentence. Which line goes to Shinjuku? I asked a station attendant. He pointed, smiled, and said, "The yellow line. Next train in 4 minutes." That single sentence, just 6 words, solved my entire problem. It wasn't perfect, but it was effective. This is what we're doing, equipping you for real, tangible moments like that. Now, let's expand your world beyond greetings. We're moving into the life-saving category of travel and directions. This is where your English becomes an active tool for exploration. Think about the sentences that give you freedom. Where is the nearest bathroom? How do I get to the museum? Does this bus go to the city center? Each one is a key that unlocks movement and independence. The book groups these logically, so you learn related phrases that stack together. For example, mastering, I need a ticket to London, naturally leads to, is it a direct train? And which platform does it leave from? Here's a crucial piece of data for you. Studies on language acquisition show that understanding just 100 key sentence structures can allow you to comprehend up to 50% of everyday spoken dialogue. That's not thousands of words, it's 100 patterns. Our 1,500 sentences cover those patterns and far more, giving you a huge advantage. When you learn, could you speak more slowly, please? You're not just learning a request, you're learning the could you pattern for endless polite requests. This is strategic learning. So let's practice a cluster. For taking a taxi to the airport, please. Could you turn on the meter? Keep the change. For the train, a return ticket, please. Is this seat taken? What's the next stop? Say them out loud. Feel their rhythm. These aren't just phrases, they are actions. By pronouncing them, you're rehearsing for success. And a quick tip. In directions, always listen for keywords like left, right, straight ahead, next to, opposite. You don't need to understand every word. Grab those anchors and you'll find your way. This approach turns anxiety into adventure. Instead of fearing a wrong turn, you'll have the tools to correct it. I think I'm lost. Can you show me on the map? Is a sentence that turns a stranger into a guide. It's empowering. You stop being a passive tourist and become an engaged traveler. And this is just one category. Next, we'll tackle something even more fundamental, the language of daily survival, food, shopping, and money. Let me tell you about the first time I successfully ordered a meal entirely in English. It wasn't in a fancy restaurant, but in a bustling market in Marrakesh. I wanted a specific spice blend, and the vendor only spoke English and Arabic. My heart raced. Then the sentences came. How much for this one? Can I try a little? That's too expensive for me. I'll take 2, please. That conversation, built entirely on simple, clear phrases, ended with a smile, a fair price, and a small bag of fragrant saffron. It was a triumph. This is the power of food, shopping, and money. This category is the bread and butter of daily interaction, literally. Whether you're at a supermarket, a street market, a cafe, or a bank, these sentences give you control. They move you from being a silent observer to an active participant. The book breaks it down into intuitive subsections. First, food and dining. I'd like to see the menu. What do you recommend? I'm allergic to nuts. Could I have the bill, please? Notice the politeness and clarity. Could I have is a golden phrase. It's respectful and universally understood. Now, a vital tip, numbers and money. This is non-negotiable. Practice saying prices aloud. $3.50. 17 euros and 20 cents. It builds muscle memory. In shopping, 2 sentences will save you. Do you have this in a different size? And is this on sale? And the most important one in any transaction, could I have a receipt, please? This sentence protects you and shows you know what you're doing. It's a small phrase with great authority. Data point: psychological studies show that using the local language, even minimally, when shopping triggers what's called the foreign language effect. It can make negotiations less emotionally charged and often leads to better outcomes. So, your simple English isn't just communication, it's a strategic tool. When you say, "That's more than I wanted to spend," you're not just stating a fact. You're inviting a counteroffer in a calm, respectful way. Let's build another cluster. At a grocery store, where can I find the milk? Is this ripe? Do you take credit cards? At a restaurant, we need a table for two. Could we have some more water? This is delicious. Everything was great, thank you. The goal is to handle the entire cycle of an event, from entry to exit, smoothly. This completeness builds incredible confidence. You're not just patching together words. You're conducting a small symphony of social exchange. Remember, perfection is the enemy of progress. The vendor in Marrakesh didn't care about my grammar. He cared about the clear communication of price, quantity, and agreement. Your mission is to achieve that clarity. With these sentences, you move from hunger to a meal, from want to purchase, from confusion to a solved problem. Next, we step into the realm of building connections, the sentences for socializing and making small talk, which is where language truly comes to life. The truth is, I used to dread small talk. I thought my English wasn't good enough, that my accent was too strong, that I'd run out of things to say in 10 seconds. Then, at a community garden, an elderly woman looked at me struggling with a tomato plant and said, "Tricky ones, aren't they? The soil needs more lime." I panicked. All I could muster was, "Really? I didn't know that." That tiny response was a spark. She talked for 5 minutes, and I listened, nodding, saying, "Oh, I see, and that's good to know." A connection was made. That's the magic of socializing and making small talk. This section of the book is where language stops being transactional and starts being relational. It's not about getting a product or a direction. It's about building a human bridge. The sentences here are simple but profound. Starters like, "Lovely weather today, isn't it?" Or, "This is a great place. How often do you come here?" are invitations. They are open-ended questions that give the other person room to speak. Your job isn't to be fascinating, it's to be interested. Phrases like, "That's so interesting," or "How did you get into that?" are your best friends. Here is an essential tip that changed my social confidence. Small talk has a formula. It often moves from a general observation to a personal connection to a follow-up question. For example, this line is long today. Observation: "I always come at this time and it's usually quieter." Personal bit: "Do you know if there's a better time?" Follow up. The sentences in the book train you to navigate this flow. You learn how to share a little about yourself. "I just moved here last month," and then pivot back to the other person. "How long have you lived in the area?" Let's look at a data point. Anthropologists call small talk phatic communication. Its primary purpose isn't to exchange information, but to establish social bonds and mutual comfort. It's a verbal handshake. Knowing this removes the pressure. You're not giving a speech. You're performing a social ritual. Sentences for agreeing, I totally agree. Showing sympathy, that must be difficult. And expressing excitement, how exciting for you, are the grease that keeps this social engine running smoothly. Practice this cluster. At a party, hi, I'm your name. How do you know the host? What do you do for a living? That sounds challenging but rewarding. And the most important sentence for exiting gracefully. Well, it was great talking to you. I should go mingle/refill my drink. This gives you a polite and natural out. Small talk is a dance, and these sentences are your steps. They allow you to connect, share, and part ways positively, leaving a good impression every single time. There's a sentence I hope you never have to use, but you must know. It's this: I need help. 3 words that can change everything. I learned their weight not for myself, but for a stranger. On a hiking trail, I found a man sitting awkwardly, his face pale. He pointed to his ankle and said, "It's broken." My mind, thankfully, didn't go blank. The phrases from the problems and emergencies section surfaced. I asked, should I call an ambulance? He nodded. I called and said, we need an ambulance. There's been an accident. A man has a broken ankle. I gave the location and stayed until help arrived. Those simple, clear sentences were vital. This section of our journey is about preparedness. It's the English you hope stays on the page, but are profoundly grateful to have when life throws a curveball. It covers everything from minor issues, "there's no hot water in my room," to serious health and safety situations. The key here is directness and clarity. Sentences must be short, factual, and easy to understand under stress. Call the police. There's a fire. I've lost my passport. I need a doctor. Here's a critical tip. In an emergency, your first sentence should state the core problem. Your second should give the essential location. My friend is having a heart attack. We are at 123 Maple Street, apartment 4B. This is the golden rule. The book drills this structure. It also teaches you how to describe a person. He's tall with black hair and a blue jacket, and how to ask for the specific help you need. Is there a pharmacy nearby? Or can I use your phone? Let me share a relevant data point. According to linguistics research, during high-stress events, our cognitive ability to construct complex sentences drops dramatically. We revert to memorized chunks of language. This is precisely why drilling these emergency sentences is so crucial. They become automatic. You don't think, you recall. Knowing I've been robbed or I'm allergic to penicillin can have real, tangible consequences for your safety and well-being. Let's practice a safety cluster. For health, I don't feel well. I have a sharp pain here. Are you a doctor? For things breaking, the toilet is overflowing. The light isn't working. My car won't start. For lost items, I've left my bag on the bus. Can you help me find my child? These sentences are tools for restoration. They help fix a situation that has gone wrong. They empower you to be an effective reporter of your own needs. Mastering this category grants you a deep, quiet confidence. You know that even in a difficult situation, You have a linguistic lifeline. It transforms fear into a plan of action. With this foundation of safety, we can now move to a more pleasant but equally complex arena, expressing your thoughts, opinions, and feelings with precision. This is where your personality truly enters the language. For years, I was what you might call a polite ghost in conversations. I could ask for things, give directions, even make small talk. But my true thoughts and feelings, those stayed locked inside, filtered through a safe, simple vocabulary. It's nice, I'd say about a breathtaking film. I don't mind, I'd offer when I strongly disagreed. The breakthrough came during a heated book club discussion. The question was, did the main character make the right choice? Everyone had a passionate take. My heart was pounding. I took a breath and said, in my opinion, she was trapped. I felt so frustrated for her, but I also understood her fear. The room went quiet, then someone said, yes, that's exactly the nuance I was feeling. I wasn't just speaking English anymore. I was speaking my mind. This, right here, is the summit of everyday language, expressing opinions, ideas, and feelings. It transforms you from a functional communicator into a relatable human being. The sentences in this section of the book are your tools for painting with emotions and convictions. They start simple. I think that, I feel that, in my experience, but they quickly scale into beautiful complexity. I see your point, but I have to look at it from a different angle. If you ask me, the real issue is something else entirely. Here is a transformative tip. To sound more natural and less confrontational, soften your opinions. Instead of the blunt, that's wrong, try, I'm not sure I agree with that, or I see it differently. Use I statements. I found that movie to be too long is much more conversational than that movie was too long. This isn't about being weak. It's about being diplomatic and keeping the conversation flowing. The book provides countless variations for agreement, disagreement, surprise, and hope. Consider this data. Language acquisition researchers find that learners who regularly express opinions and emotions achieve a higher degree of sociolinguistic competence, the ability to use language appropriately in social contexts. They make friends faster and integrate into communities more deeply. Why? Because sharing an opinion or a feeling is an act of vulnerability and trust. It says, here is a piece of me. Let's build an opinion cluster. For agreement, you're absolutely right. I couldn't agree more. That's exactly how I see it. For polite disagreement, I hear what you're saying, but have you considered? That's a fair point, however. I'm inclined to disagree, actually. For expressing feelings, I'm really excited about this. To be honest, I was a bit disappointed. It makes me so happy to hear that. Practice these. They are the sentences that build and break relationships, that spark ideas and solve problems. This is where your personality bleeds into the language. Your unique perspective, your humor, your compassion. It all finds a voice through these structures. You stop being just a student of English and start being yourself in English. And in our modern world, there's one final frontier where this self-expression is crucial, the digital landscape. Next, we tackle the language of technology, social media, and the online world that connects us all. My most embarrassing language mistake didn't happen on a street or in a store. It happened in a quiet email. I wrote to a new colleague, "I am waiting for your reply," thinking I was being clear. Their response was cold and brief. A friendly native speaker later pointed it out. That phrase sounds demanding, almost angry. Try, "I look forward to hearing from you." A world of difference. That was my crash course in technology and digital communication. The digital world has its own rules, its own etiquette, and its own simple sentences that can make or break connections. This section of our journey is about navigating the online and tech-driven landscape where so much of our daily communication now lives. It covers everything from troubleshooting your Wi-Fi to posting a thoughtful comment on social media. The core principle here is clarity and tone. Since people can't see your face or hear your voice in a text, your words must do all the work. Sentences like, "Could you please resend the attachment? I can't seem to open it," are perfect, polite, clear, and solution-oriented. Let me give you a crucial tip for digital communication. When in doubt, add "please" and a thank you. A simple "please advise" can feel curt. "Could you please give me your advice on this?" is much warmer. For video calls, master these. "Can you hear me okay?" "You're on mute." "I'm having connection issues. Can I type my answer in the chat?" These are the lifelines of the modern meeting. The book provides the phrases for signing up, logging in, downloading, uploading, and all those digital verbs we use every day. Here's a relevant data point. A study on workplace communication found that over 60% of misunderstandings in professional settings now originate from digital messages, email, chat, primarily due to unclear phrasing and perceived tone. This isn't just about language. It's about digital diplomacy. Learning sentences like, "just circling back on my earlier message," or "thanks for clarifying," can smooth over countless potential friction points. Practice this digital cluster. For tech problems, the Wi-Fi isn't working. My screen is frozen. How do I reset my password? For social media, thanks for the ad. Congratulations on your new job. Sending happy birthday wishes your way. For emails, I'm writing to follow up on. Thank you for your quick response. Please find the document attached. Notice how each sentence has a clear, single purpose. They are efficient and effective. Mastering this domain makes you a competent modern communicator. It removes the anxiety from a blinking cursor on an empty email field. You'll know how to ask for tech help without feeling foolish, and how to connect with friends online in a genuine way. It wraps practicality in politeness. And this seamlessly leads us to our final, powerful application of these 1,500 sentences, the professional world. How to use them to build a career, network, and present your best self in a work environment. My first professional interview in English was a silent movie in my head, but a clumsy comedy in the room. The interviewer asked, "Tell me about a challenge you overcame." I had a great story ready, but all I could say was, "It was difficult, but I learned." I saw the polite nod, the lost opportunity. I didn't have the sentences to frame my experience. I got the job, but barely. I vowed never to feel that powerless again. That's when I mind the work and career section of our book. It's not about business jargon. It's about the clear, professional phrases that build credibility and connection. This final practical category is about leveraging English to open doors and build your professional identity. It covers the language of the job search, interviews, workplace interactions, and networking. The sentences here help you present your best self with confidence. For an interview, I'm a quick learner and a strong team player. Could you tell me more about the day-to-day responsibilities? For the workplace, I'll have that report to you by 3 p.m. I'd appreciate your feedback on this. Could we schedule a quick meeting to align on this project? Here is a career-changing tip. In professional English, proactive communication is everything. Don't just say, I finished the task. Say, I've completed the draft and shared it with the team for initial feedback. This shows ownership and foresight. Master the language of polite follow-up. Just checking if you had any thoughts on the proposal I sent. And crucially, know how to ask for clarification without seeming lost. Just to make sure I understand correctly, the next step is to finalize the budget. Is that right? Let's look at a powerful data point. A LinkedIn survey of hiring managers revealed that candidates who communicate clearly and proactively during the hiring process are 70% more likely to be perceived as competent and capable, regardless of their actual technical skill level. Your words build your professional brand. Simple, clear sentences like, I'll take the lead on that, or let me look into that and get back to you. Project reliability and initiative. Practice this professional cluster. For networking, what do you specialize in? I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. Let's keep in touch. In meetings, that's a great point, Sarah. If I could just add something here. So the action item for me is to finalize the client list. For emails, per our conversation, just a gentle reminder. Please let me know if that works for you. These phrases are the oil in the machine of professional relationships. This isn't about being a native speaker. It's about being a clear, reliable, and engaged professional. These sentences give you the architecture to showcase your skills and ideas. They transform you from a passive participant into an active contributor. And with this, we've armed you with sentences for nearly every sphere of life. But how do they all fit together? How do these 1,500 simple pieces create a life of fluent freedom? That is our final and most important lesson. So, how does it all fit together? How do these 1,500 separate sentences transform from a list into a life lived confidently in English? Let me share my metaphor. For years, I saw language as a towering, intricate wall I had to build brick by brick. Each word a brick, each grammar rule a layer of mortar. It was exhausting, and it never felt solid. Then I switched my thinking. These sentences aren't bricks, they are doors. Each one is a portal into a real-life situation. Your goal isn't to build a wall. It's to open as many doors as possible, to move freely between rooms of experience. Fluency isn't about perfection, it's about access. This is the integrative principle. The true power of English for everyday life is in the connections between the categories. Think about a single evening You might socialize with colleagues. Great presentation today. Discuss where to eat. Opinion. I'm in the mood for Italian. Travel there. Let's grab a taxi. Order a meal. We'll share the bruschetta. Please handle a problem. My fork is dirty. Could I get another? And make plans for the weekend. Socializing again. We should do this again soon. One seamless experience, powered by sentences from 6 different chapters of your life. Here is the ultimate tip. Stop studying chapters in isolation. Practice scenario-based weaving. Create a simple story in your mind that forces you to use sentences from different sections. For example, I woke up late, problem. I overslept. Rushed to a work meeting. Sorry I'm late. My alarm didn't go off. Had a digital issue. The presentation file won't open. Gave my opinion. I think we should postpone this discussion, and ended with social lunch. So how was your weekend? This narrative practice trains your brain to access the right sentence from the right room effortlessly. Let's talk about data one last time. Neurologically, this approach builds what's called chunking. Your brain stops processing individual words and starts retrieving whole phrases as single units. This drastically reduces cognitive load. When you say, "Could you help me with this?" you're not constructing a question from subject, verb, object. You're recalling a ready-made tool. The 1,500 sentences provide a rich toolbox of these chunks for almost every social and practical context. The more you use them, the more automatic they become. Your journey with these sentences is cyclical, not linear. You will return to the basics with deeper understanding. Use a social phrase in a professional setting and apply an emergency structure to a minor daily annoyance. This is how language becomes living, breathing, and uniquely yours. It stops being English and starts being your voice in another code. You will begin to improvise, mixing and matching parts of sentences because you understand the underlying patterns. That is the moment of true ownership. So where do you start? Right now. Pick one sentence from each major category we've explored. Say them aloud. Greeting, question, request, opinion, farewell. You've just navigated a miniature conversation. That is the proof of concept. The wall was an illusion. The doors are real, and they are already unlocked. All that's left is to turn the handles, step through, and discover that the world on the other side has been waiting to talk to you. Let me confess something I've never shared before. After all these years, after navigating emergencies and giving presentations, I still have moments of sheer, heart-stopping panic. Just last month, I was at an international conference, and a renowned expert turned to me during a coffee break and asked, "So, what's your fundamental critique of the prevailing model?" My throat closed. Model? Critique? My old nemesis, the specialized vocabulary monster, was back. But then I breathed. I didn't have the complex words, but I had my sentences. I said, "That's a big question. From my perspective, it doesn't fully address the day-to-day realities we see on the ground. It feels a bit removed from practice." He leaned in, fascinated. Exactly. That's the theory-practice gap I've been noting. This leads me to our most crucial chapter yet, the mindset of a sentence master. You see, the final barrier isn't grammatical, it's psychological. Your brain, under pressure, will scream that you don't know the right word. Your job is to train it to bypass that panic and reach for the nearest, most effective sentence. This is a paradigm shift. You are not a walking dictionary. You are a pragmatic communicator. The goal is not to impress with vocabulary, but to connect with clarity. This mindset frees you from perfectionism and launches you into real conversation. Here is your new daily habit, the single most effective practice tip I can give you, the 5-sentence daily dialogue. Every morning, you create a tiny script in your head. It must include 1 sentence each from 5 different categories. For example, 1. Greeting, social, you look well today. 2. Problem, daily life, I can't find my reading glasses. 3. Request, travel/shopping, could you help me look for them? 4. Opinion, ideas, I think they might be in the other room. 5. Closing, social, thanks, you're a lifesaver. Say it aloud. This 5-minute drill wires your brain for cross-contextual thinking. Let's look at the neuroscience behind this. This practice strengthens what are called semantic networks in your brain. By forcing connections between different categories, social, problem-solving, opinion, you create more and stronger neural pathways to the language. This means that in a real conversation, your brain has multiple routes to retrieve what it needs, making you more fluent and less prone to total blockages. You're building a robust network, not a fragile single line. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: accent and pronunciation. A relevant data point. Comprehensive research from the University of Edinburgh suggests that clarity, not accent reduction, is the key to being understood. Focus on mastering the melody and stress of your sentences. For example, in the question, "Are you sure about that?" the stress on sure changes the entire meaning. Use the simple sentences to practice this music. Record yourself saying, "I need help" versus "I need help." Hear the difference? That is power. Your journey with these 1,500 sentences is a journey of empowerment. It's about choosing to be understood, not flawless. It's about valuing the connection over correction. When you embrace this, every interaction becomes a victory. A mispronounced word is not a failure, it's a stepping stone. A moment of hesitation is just your brain efficiently selecting the best door to open. You are not broken. You are becoming brilliantly adaptive. And that is the greatest skill any language learner can possess. Now, we arrive at the secret engine of true fluency: adapting and improvising. This is where you move from using the sentences as perfect, fixed phrases to bending them, playing with them, and making them your own. I learned this not from a book, but from a child. I was trying to ask my young nephew if he wanted to play with a ball. The sentence I knew was, "Do you want to play a game?" But he was holding a toy car. I fumbled and said, "Do you want to play with that?" He grinned and said, "Yes." Vroom vroom. Communication was a success. The sentence adapted. I had used the skeleton of a question and filled it with a new, needed word. This is the master skill. The 1,500 sentences are your magnificent toolkit, but you are the craftsman. You will not have a pre-made sentence for every single scenario, but you will have 1,500 1,500 templates, 1,500 patterns that you can modify. Think of it like a Lego set. You have all the standard blocks. The book shows you how to build the pictured models. But true play comes when you use those same blocks to build something new. A spaceship, a house, a strange animal. Your sentences are your linguistic Lego. Here's how to practice adaptation. Take a solid sentence skeleton. I'm looking for. The book gives you. I'm looking for the train station. Now you adapt. At a museum. I'm looking for the Egyptian exhibit. In a meeting. I'm looking for the latest sales figures. Helping a friend. I'm looking for a new apartment. The core structure is stable, reliable. You simply change the object. This applies to countless patterns. How do I get to? Becomes how do I get to the manager? Could you help me with? Becomes could you help me with this application? A vital tip for improvisation. Use your placeholder words confidently. Words like thing, stuff, whatchamacallit, place are not signs of weakness. They are tools of agility. Could you pass me that blue thing? I need to buy some stuff for the party. We met at that Italian place downtown. These keep the conversation moving when the precise word escapes you. The other person will almost always help you fill in the blank. Oh, you mean the charger? This is collaborative communication. Let's consider a powerful data point. Linguists estimate that with a core of about 2,000 word families and the ability to manipulate basic sentence structures, a speaker can express over 95% of concepts needed for daily life. Our 1,500 sentences are designed to give you that core and that manipulative skill simultaneously. You are learning the patterns and the high-frequency vocabulary within them. A double victory. Practice this improvisation cluster right now. Start with the skeleton. It's too. Opinion. The movie was too long. Shopping. This shirt is too expensive. Problem. The coffee is too cold. Travel. The suitcase is too heavy. See? One pattern for different rooms of your life. Your homework is to take 3 skeletons. I can't. Do you have? Let's talk about and create 2 new adaptations for each from different categories. This is the creative act that cements learning and builds unshakable confidence. You are no longer a reciter. You are a speaker. The difference between a good conversation and a great one often hangs on a single, tiny word. I learned this the hard way when I asked my busy landlord, "Fix the washing machine." He glared at me, and it took 3 weeks. A friend later said, "You sounded like you were giving an order. Try, could you possibly fix the washing machine?" Or even, "I was wondering if you could look at the washing machine." The problem wasn't my grammar, it was my tone. This brings us to the subtle art of mastering nuance and politeness. The same 1,500 sentences, with slight adjustments, can make you sound rude, neutral, or wonderfully polite. This isn't about being formal, it's about being appropriate and effective. English often uses softeners and modal verbs to cushion requests and opinions. The simple sentence, "Pass the salt," is clear. But "could you pass the salt, please?" is collaborative. "Would you mind passing the salt?" is even more polite. The book provides these layered variations. Your choice depends on the situation: a colleague versus a CEO, a friend versus a stranger. Mastering this scale is your key to being perceived as considerate and culturally aware. Here is an essential tip for nuance, leverage. I was wondering if, would it be possible to, and I'd appreciate it if. These phrases transform demands into requests. Compare "give me a discount" to "I was wondering if you could offer any discount on this." The goal is the same, but the approach is cooperative. Similarly, soften opinions with "it seems to me," or "from what I understand," instead of the blunt "this is wrong." This invites discussion rather than confrontation. Let's look at a fascinating data point. A study published in the Journal of Politeness Research analyzed workplace emails and found that messages containing politeness markers, please, thank you, conditional verbs like could and would, were 34% more likely to receive a prompt and positive response. Politeness is not just social decoration. It's a functional tool that increases efficiency and fosters goodwill. Your sentences are your social toolkit, and these are your fine-grained sandpaper pieces. Practice this nuance cluster. We'll take a direct sentence and soften it. Direct: I need more time. Polite: would it be possible to have a bit more time? Direct: this is incorrect. Polite: I think there might be a small inaccuracy here. Direct: call me tomorrow. Polite: if you have a moment, could you call me tomorrow? Notice the difference in feeling? The core message is identical, but the reception will be worlds apart. This skill is especially crucial in digital communication, where tone is hardest to convey. A text that says "we need to talk" can induce panic. "Could we find a time to chat about the project?" does not. By weaving these nuances into your sentence repertoire, you graduate from being merely understood to being respected and liked. You show awareness of the human on the other side of the conversation. This is the final layer of sophistication, using simple sentences not just to communicate your needs, but to build and sustain positive relationships. It turns transactions into interactions. And with this skill, you are ready for the ultimate test, the unscripted, flowing, and dynamic reality of a full life lived in English. It was a Tuesday afternoon, and the real test of everything I'd learned came not in a meeting or a market, but on a park bench. My elderly neighbor, Mr. Peterson, was sitting there looking at the pigeons. My old self would have just smiled and walked by. My new self, armed with polite sentences, paused. "Lovely afternoon, isn't it?" I said. He nodded. "It is. But these pigeons are a menace." I sat down. "They can be quite messy, can't they?" And so began a 30-minute conversation about pigeons, the city, his youth, and his late wife. I didn't use complex words. I used the tools of listening and responding. "Really? That must have been beautiful. How did you manage that?" This is the final frontier, sustaining the dialogue. You see, the ultimate goal of these 1,500 sentences is not to fire them off like a checklist and leave. It's to use them as threads to weave a longer, richer tapestry of conversation. This is about moving from a series of transactions to a flowing exchange. The sentences provide the launch pads and the landing strips. Your curiosity provides the fuel for the journey in between. This skill turns a stranger into an acquaintance, and an acquaintance into a friend. Here is your strategy for sustaining dialogue, the echo and add method. When someone shares information, you do two things. First, you echo a key word or idea to show you're listening. Then, you add a simple follow-up question or comment from your sentence toolkit. For example, neighbor, I'm planning to paint my fence this weekend. You paint your fence? Echo, that's a big job. Add, opinion, what color are you thinking? Add, follow-up question. This method is incredibly powerful because it's structured yet natural, and it ensures you are actively engaged. Let's incorporate a crucial data point. Communication experts have analyzed conversations and found that the most effective conversationalists aren't those who talk the most, but those who are the most responsive. Their responses, verbal and nonverbal, make the other person feel heard. Simple sentence responses like, "That's incredible," "I can only imagine," or "What happened next?" are signals that you are a safe and interested person to talk to. They are invitations to continue. Look at your hands. Right now, they're the same hands that might have trembled holding a phrase book or tapped nervously on a translator app. But they are also the hands that will now open doors, 1,500 of them. My journey began in silence, in that frozen moment in a supermarket. It led me here, to you, sharing the simple, profound truth I discovered. Fluency is not a mountain you climb, but a collection of keys you gather. Each key is a sentence. Each sentence opens a door to a part of life you wish to live, to a meal ordered with confidence, a problem solved with clarity, a friendship sparked with a shared opinion, a career advanced with a professional request. We have walked through all the rooms together. The essentials: travel, food, shopping, socializing, emergencies, opinions, digital worlds, professional spaces, the nuances of tone, and the art of sustained conversation. Each category was not a list to memorize, but a landscape to explore. Remember the core principle: these are not bricks for a wall, but doors for a palace. Your palace, and you are not a construction worker. You are the inhabitant moving freely from room to room, equipped for whatever the day brings. So, what is the final lesson? It is this: your practice never ends, but the panic does. From today, your relationship with English shifts. You are no longer a student hunting for perfect words. You are a communicator deploying effective tools. Your mantra becomes, "Is there a simple sentence for this?" And 99% of the time, the answer will be yes, because you have built your arsenal from the ground up for the ground of everyday life. Here is your first and only permanent assignment: the one sentence a day integration. Each morning, select one sentence from the book, any sentence. Your mission is to use it authentically before the day ends. It could be a polite request at work, an opinion to a friend, a question at a store. Use it. Say it out loud. This is not study. This is living. This habit ensures the sentences migrate from the page to your tongue, from your tongue to your memory, and from your memory to your instinct. You have everything you need. The 1,500 sentences are your map, your compass, and your provisions. The journey of your English life is now in your hands. It will be an adventure of small, daily victories. You will mispronounce a word and smile. You will forget a phrase and find another. You will surprise yourself by speaking without thinking, and you will understand the glorious feeling of being understood. It was an honor to guide you this far. Now the path is yours to walk. Go open those doors. I'll see you on the other side. Farewell, and speak your world into being.